Mothers, please do not overprotect and coddle your sons. My name is Jared Mello, and this is an episode of Mello Mentoring. Please do subscribe to my channel if you find videos about mental health, supplements, self-improvement, relationships, and my interview series, Everything Eccentric. If you find those things valuable, please do subscribe. But without further ado, why shouldn't mothers overprotect their sons? Now, I'm going to talk from first-hand experience with this because although I'm not a parent, I do have experience with being overprotected as a son. And I'm going to talk about some of the negative effects because we're in an epidemic of what they call snowplow parents or helicopter parents, and I think there's a lot of wisdom missing. And it comes from the right place, a lot of these behaviors, but I want to explain how it really shortchanges your sons in particular, because I see a lot of women right now, or young girls, who are raised to be strong, independent women. But I do not see the same thing with sons, and it's a travesty. So what happens here? My mother was extremely loving, but she didn't let me suffer consequences. Like, she was always on me about doing homework, doing things, and then as I was in high school, my parents were extremely strict. And extremely strict parents usually mean what in their child? That they're going to rebel. I remember in high school, I always had the earliest curfew. Girls were allowed to hang out later than me. So what happened? I just rebelled and became even worse. And I would sneak out, and I would just do whatever I wanted anyway. Because what does being strict as a parent even subcommunicate to your children? It subcommunicates that we don't trust you to make the right decisions. If we left it up to your own devices, we think you would screw up. We think you would do the wrong things, so you have to adhere to our regulations. So, in reality, what should really occur is, once you raise your kids to a certain age, it's like, well, I'm going to trust you to do the right things. Because once honest lines of communication are broken between parents and children, it's a huge step in the wrong direction. And I couldn't feel like I could be honest with my parents. I always felt guilted or shamed, or I thought I would get punished, and so I stopped being honest with them. And that was a terrible thing. But this also it was happening because I was overprotected, and I was coddled. And Jordan Peterson said, no one should do anything for children or for old people that they can do for themselves, because you rob them of their independence or their ability to develop their self-sufficiency. And that's exactly what happened to me. I wasn't given the ability to become self-sufficient and to be able to do things on my own until a later age. So when mothers overprotect their sons in particular, one of two things will usually happen. Either your son will turn into a mama's boy, or he'll rebel. I was at first a mama's boy, but then I rebelled. And some women may think to themselves, well, I want my son to be a mama's boy. And it's like, do you really want your son to be a mama's boy? Because what happens to mama's boys? They do not do well with women. A lot of mama's boys, they don't attract women. There's been studies to show that women who overprotect their sons in particular too much, they don't do well with women. But a tough mother who raises a son, they do better. Right? So it's not just because of this, though, but it's the wisdom behind it that matters. I've heard single mothers tell me that they hoped their sons would be gay, or because they didn't want their sons to ever leave them. Or I've told another woman the expression, a daughter is a daughter for life, but a son's a son until he takes a wife. And she's like, oh no, that's terrible. But what are they subcommunicating? They're subcommunicating that they don't ever want their sons to leave. That they're almost using them for their own emotional comfort. And it's like, that's not the right goal to have as a mother. And I get it. When we love, our defects come out. When we love, our shortcomings come out. So it becomes difficult, but the right thing to do would be you teach your kid how to get shit done on their own. You teach them how to be autonomous. You teach them how to handle stuff. And the only way I've ever been able to get through to mothers about this is when I say, And to single mothers I say this, what kind of men are you attracted to? Are you attracted to the mama's boy that has to run every decision by his mother? Or can't seem to do anything on his own and needs to talk to his mother all day, every day? Or do you want the guy that's independent and strong and can get shit done? And when I put it like that, it seems pretty obvious, but they don't do that for their own sons. So it's like, mothers, how do you want your son to grow up? Do you want him, and this is in particular true of single mother households when there is no father around. Usually fathers are a little better with this, but not always. So, single mothers, when you have a son, it's like, do you want to doom your kid to failure with women? Do you want to just keep him to yourself his whole life? Because that's going to be a miserable life for your son. And here's the other damaging thing that having an overprotective mother did to me. Like, I got all of this love from her. And then when I was in high school, I started wanting that same love from other women. And you know what I discovered? I discovered that no woman will love me the way my mother did. Because she loved me too much. And now, I kind of have this gaping hole in me that's never gone away, really. That goes away a little bit when I'm in the attraction phase with a woman, or a woman's caring about me, but no woman has ever loved me the way that my mother has. And my neurotransmitters and my development, I expect it. Like, my neurotransmitters and my whole being craves it. It craves love. And that's why I've been a love addict before in the past, because I crave the love and intimacy I received as a child, except from women now as an adult. This is the other reason to not overprotect your sons and love them too much, because now I have this issue that I'm 35 years old. It's never gone away. It's never gone away since I've been through puberty. This craving, this like angst within me to be loved by women, to receive their love, to push towards intimacy, to push towards sex. It's just always there. It's always on. And I can live without it. But what I can't deny is I feel night and day differently when I have a woman who is giving me love, who is on my side and is a teammate. It's just night and day. And as much as I would want to pretend that wasn't how it is how it is. And I think a lot of it comes from my upbringing. And what is the solution? A lot of the solution is to try to be happy and single, which I do try to do, and I am good, but I can't deny I feel much better when I'm with a woman. So, what does that mean? Well, sometimes feelings are not a good indicator of how we're doing, right? So, I could be feeling one way, but doing better, but it's certainly like a light switch for me, where when I'm dating or going out with someone, there's just something different that, like, I'm getting that hole in me filled, right? It's like it's like a medicine, a tonic is what it is. But the reason why I'm mentioning it is because this is just another negative effect from being loved too much, overprotected, coddled. It does not do well for sons. I think sons would be better off if they were taught the same way that women are taught nowadays, to be strong, independent people. I see people, girls, late teens, early 20s, mid-20s girls, that they're more manly than men. They're tougher than men. They know how to get shit done. They know how to handle things. But men don't. Boys don't. I'm like, why? A lot of it's because of how they were raised. They were raised to get shit done. They were raised to handle shit. They were raised to be independent. But a lot of boys are not raised to be independent. A lot of boys are raised to be reliant on their mothers. A lot of boys are raised coddled, and people try to clear all obstacles from their path. But what do you do when you do that as a parent? You rob them. You rob them of the ability to be self-sufficient, like I said before. And here's the other thing. A calm sea never made a skilled sailor. When we try to stop all the difficulties from our children's lives, what we do is we try to stop those difficulties that develop their character. That's how people become strong people. They have to overcome adversity. Would you want to rob your children of the adversity to become a better version of themselves? You really shouldn't. And wisdom would say you shouldn't. But I get it. A lot of parents think, no, I had a rough life and my parents were maybe slightly abusive or narcissistic, and I would never want to do that to my children. And yes, your heart's in the right place, but not all adversity is bad. Now, abuse, I will say, is bad, but we should still teach our children how to get shit done, how to be independent, and to not remove all obstacles, because it's gonna prematurely stunt their growth. The goal would be to let them have the obstacles, let them live life, let them suffer some consequences, and be there for them when they fall. Be there for them when they want to talk to you about what's going on in their lives, without judgment, without guilting and shaming them. But let them handle things, and if they're not doing things to your liking, instead of pushing, you let them suffer the consequences of not doing something. That will have a better effect than pushing, and being up your kid's ass all the time. What does that teach your child? It teaches your child that someone's going to save them and make sure things are okay with them, because your parent is going to take responsibility for your life. But that's not how it should be, because if you grow up with your parents taking responsibility for your life, what does that do for the child? The child will think, someone will always just be there for me to make sure I'm okay. Someone will always be there for me to remind me to do my homework and to make sure I do my chores and my errands and handle my life. But that's not life. And as a boy gets older, a woman may help a man, but she's not there to be his mother. She wants a man who's strong and independent, a man who knows how to get stuff done. That's what a healthy woman normally wants. But when a boy's overprotected, coddled, he doesn't know how to handle things, he can't make decisions without his mother's approval, and then he might have that gaping hole in him that he's yearning for all of this female love and attention, but he discovers tragically that no woman will give it to him the same kind of love his mother did. And it's a terrible fate, really. And mothers, this can be prevented. Another way it can be prevented is from having your parents have their own life too. And that's actually one of the best things to do. Have your own life. Try to grow as a person in your own life. Because being a parent should not be your complete identity. You should still focus on your marriage if you're together, if the parents are together. And focus on that. Focus on your hobbies. Focus on a life outside of just being a parent. Focus on a life outside of just being a husband or a wife. And I think that's extremely important, and it's the best example to show your children that, hey, I'm not just a mother, I'm not just a father, I have a life, I have goals, I have hobbies that I do, I have things that I enjoy doing. And that will teach your child, oh, I should have my own hobbies. Oh, I should have my own recreational activities. I should also develop my interests. And oh, I see my mom and dad, they're actually having a loving relationship together. They still go out on dates. They still act like they really love each other, right? And oh, maybe that's how I should be in a relationship when I grow up. Because that's the example that's being set for me as a child. Like what we really do as a kid, or what parents do when their kids are young in particular, it really molds them. It really does. And so it's unbelievable how much these kids, how smart they are and how impressionable they are. But, with great power comes great responsibility. So please do your best to not helicopter parent. Do your best to not snowplow parent. Do your best to not coddle and overprotect. Because all you're doing is shortchanging your child. It's not going to help him. It's just going to make him weaker. And when life comes, it's going to punch him in the face, and he's not going to know what hit him. And that's kind of what happened to me. Life was a lot tougher than what I expected it to be. I thought, since my upbringing was very secure and comfortable, I was thinking life would be the same. But no, it absolutely is not the same. And I wasn't prepared. My parents, I think they thought that by providing a very comfortable upbringing for me, that would be the best thing to do. But I think instead it left me unprepared. And I was vulnerable for when life punched me, how to actually keep on going. And so I went through a long, rough patch of years there between mental health and addiction. And then it just wasn't good. Now, it made me who I am today, but my parents tried to block me from having struggles. But then guess what I did? I created my struggles tenfold. A lot of it was because I couldn't be honest with my parents anymore. And so I felt the need to hide things and be sneaky. And that was like a big shift in the whole relationship. I started to sneak out, lie, cheat, steal, do drugs, drink. All of my parents' worst fears. And a lot of it was because they were just being too strict on me. So remember about the being strict thing too. Think, what does it communicate to your children when you're being strict? That you don't think they're going to make the right decisions. When people think they're going to do the right things, when people are treated like they're going to do the right things, often they will meet that expectation. But when they're treated like they will do the wrong things, i.e. being strict, they will often meet that expectation too. So please comment below your thoughts on this video. Do you agree, disagree, etc.? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And with that, thank you for watching.